Hey everyone, before we begin today, we just wanted to say, could you please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bells to stay in touch with the content? And also, we have a message from our channel mascot, Bucket the Wonder Cat. Bucket?
Foolish humans, subscribe to DNA Crows now and enjoy quality content. Enjoy it until your superior feline masters rise up and overthrow you monkey people.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of DNA Crows. I'm Andrew, your host, the real ComicCrowe. And today I wanted to talk about what's been going on with the depositions, specifically the exposing of Chris Sabat. We want to save talking about the entire Vic deposition for when I have my brother here, but some really interesting things have come out from Vic being deposed. He specifically called Chris Sabat out, which I know a lot of people have been waiting to happen. We do know that he's worked behind the scenes. We know that Chris was really responsible for the situation with ComicCrowe and helped Monica basically try to get Vic re-canceled after he'd been rebooked, after he had been originally canceled. But we found out a few other things, and Vic's response about Chris was really, I think you could tell that one, I don't know if that really, it's hard to say, like, if that hurt him or if he's kind of over it, but he talks about how the dude used to pretend to be his friend, how they'd meet, how he perceived the relationship. And then he finds out later that Chris Sabat has basically been behind his back talking trash about him for years, right? Like, this is not recent, this is for years. And I think Sabat's kind of what screws Funimation over, because they'll try to say something like, you know, he's an independent contractor, he's not really affiliated with the company, but we kind of already know that that's bullshit just because the amount of pull that Chris Sabat has at Funimation. There are some other things. This isn't confirmed. This is what Vic said during his deposition. And he had said that he was told, it sounds like through his agent, and this is from a couple places, that major sponsors were going to pull out if he stayed at the convention. And one of the major sponsors at the conventions he was talking about was Funimation, where Chris Sabat has all that pull, like we were just talking about. So it really does kind of leave Funimation exposed. Like, I don't know if they were as exposed with, like, Monica and Ron Toye just acting as their agents, but like that's a bad one. I'm a huge Vegeta fan, right? So, like, for me, this sucks. I've had my issues with the guy for a long time, but it does suck for me because, you know, I'm an actual fan of what he does, and this dude's just a terrible person. Where was I? Yeah, so doing the depositions, a lot of things came out about Chris Sabat. There's a lot of things that came out about Funimation and their role in this. And like I was saying earlier, I think Chris really does link Funimation into everything, because it sounds like Chris was taking actions behind the scenes using his pull at Funimation to get things done. Now, if it's true what Vic said, if it's true what his agent had told him, that a major sponsor, in this case that major sponsor being Funimation, was going out and putting pressure on conventions to drop Vic Mignogna, that ties Funimation into everything. And I would say it's probably not like a group like the secret hidden cabal of executives at Funimation and Sony. I really think it's just Chris Sabat. And I think it's Chris Sabat has someone who, for the most part, like everybody in the anime community sort of knows, he represents Funimation. Like Vic said in the deposition, they give his studio outsourcing, and he's been there, I mean, my gosh, he's been there so long. I was a kid growing up watching him dubbing Vegeta, and like I said, I'm a huge fan of his Vegeta. I mean, how many years is that? Over 20? To act like he has no representation in your company, like, I think Funimation's really screwed over because of the amount of influence that they've given this man and the complete lack of any actual restraints or controls from the company on him. And again, I think their main action is to run around and say, well, they're independent contractors, so it doesn't matter what they do. You know, I'm sorry, like, I'm an independent contractor. I'm responsible for what I do, and it represents my company if I were to go out there and make statements. Like, you know, if I went and said, well, I just work at this place, I'm an independent contractor, so, you know, I don't represent what happens. Well, if I go out there and I do something really terrible, my job is going to care if my face is all over the place and I'm running out there, you know, using company resources to go ahead and commit, you know, acts of libel and slander and defamation against somebody. But it sounds like Chris took it a step further in actually, you know, committing tortious interference with several different conventions. And I'll apologize because I forget the name of the attorney doing the deposition of Vic Mignogna when this came up, but he specifically asked Vic, you know, what can we just assume that Funimation like didn't it isn't really responsible if a con drops you before they get rid of you? And he's like, well, no, because I've been told that Funimation, or I've been told by people that this major sponsor, which really would be Funimation, is going out there and putting pressure on people to cancel my contracts. You know, we don't know how many times it's been done. We just we know that there were, I think, like more than 5 different conventions mentioned during the deposition that had canceled out on Vic Mignogna that he had contracts with. So I don't know. You know, this channel was built on exposing Broly Power Maximum. So when it comes to exposing people, of course I love it. And I am very happy to see Chris Sabat has really been exposed by Vic during the deposition. And some of the really creepy actions the dude has taken are really at the forefront right now. I know a lot of people are hoping that Chris Sabat gets sued. Yeah, I would hope so too. Just because it sounds like he's been a major player, even though he's been working behind the scenes and everything. And I think it's just a real big question if they get Funimation past, if they get past the TCPA with Funimation, then would they just go ahead and drop a lawsuit against Chris Sabat? I have no idea. I would love that personally. I think the guy should have to pay. I think his ego is like, yeah, I make fun of Sean Schemmel for having a crazy ego. I think Chris Sabat's worse. I think he wants to be the major power player, and I think he wants to be in control of everybody. And it's not so much about profit. It's not so much about the clout. It's about having control over the situation. He has a lot of control at Funimation. He doesn't have control over Vic, and I imagine that drives this little man insane. If that's his reasoning for doing what he did, I have no clue. But he's good friends with Monica. He's good friends with Ron Toye, and we know he was behind the scenes trying to get Kamehacon to drop Vic Mignogna, so I wouldn't put anything past that little weasel. Anyways, that's the video, guys. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a like, leave a comment. I gotta go. This mask is making me sweat like crazy. Thank you so much again for tuning in to another episode, and have a wonderful day. Bye.